Hey, I'm Rora.
I'm Jane,
And we are Birds of Clay.
and we're here to talk all things Australian pottery and ceramic art.
So put your kettle on.
And let's have a chat. We would like to pay our respects to the traditional custodians on the lands on which this podcast is recorded. We acknowledge the rich history of art, craft, and storytelling that has been occurring for millennia, and acknowledge elders past, present, and country as provider, protector, and guide. Working with clay is intrinsically linked to country, and we would not be here without the care and connection that our First Nations peoples have shown for thousands of years on this continent we call Australia.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Jane.
Hi, Rora.
Hey, Isis.
Hello, Isis. Welcome.
Hey, guys.
So good to have you here. So, everybody, today we're joined by the wonderfully talented Isis Reading. She's known on Instagram as Eyes of Isis. Her work is a portal to the world of magic and wonder, where otherworldly faces emerge through layers of colourful dripping glazes.
Ooh.
Each piece she creates conveys a strong connection with nature, infused with mystery, beauty, and a deep, fantastical connection to the earth. So let's dive into her creative journey, her inspirations, and the magic behind her ceramics. Hey.
Hey.
How you going?
I'm good. Happy to be back in your lovely home and studio again.
It's good to have you. We've wanted to have you on here for ages. So for those listening, for some context, we all, Isis, Jane, and myself, we attend the Toowoomba Farmers Market, and when the stars align, we're all there together. We all we'll go and chat and visit each other's stalls and just wave across the market, and yeah, it's really fun.
And customers go from pottery stall to pottery stall to pottery stall.
They do the trifecta.
Yeah, you can see
They'll
who
be
likes pottery.
Yeah.
I know, and I think we all say, "Oh, have you checked out our friends?"
Yeah, yeah.
It's so nice. It's such a collaborative kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's nice that it doesn't feel competitive.
No.
And we all make such different work.
I've not been around other artists where it's not been so competitive. I was kind of expecting competition when I first came to the market.
Yeah.
And then I met you, Rora, and I was like, oh, that's not there. Okay, this is nice.
Yeah, I felt the same because I met Rora at the market first time, I think. And you were like, when are you doing a stall?
Yeah.
Like, so excited. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's amazing. I thought you'd be like, I don't know, like, ooh, will you be cutting?
Yeah.
She is not.
I think some people are though.
Most are.
Most.
I don't think I've
really?
actually come across many other potters who genuinely seemed like they weren't.
So
trying to
you're
be competition.
like market history wise, you've come from Yamundi, which is
Yeah.
huge. Do you think that probably plays a part, like the bigger markets?
Yamundi was very competitive and it didn't have that wholesome vibe that Toowoomba has. And that's why I love Toowoomba so much. I go on about it all the time.
Mhm.
Because every other market, except for some Byron ones, there's some nice Byron ones as well. But most other markets, they're just like, they seem like artists, but they're just businessmen who are just like buy this and buy that. And I don't know, it's not the same.
I think Yamundi's changed a lot.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, Yamundi's like, just for context, like hinterland of the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
And it was a really big, like, it was huge. Probably about 20 years ago, we used to go. And it was really community and really...
Yeah.
But now there's lots of stuff that's, like, made overseas and imported.
I think it changed a long time ago, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And now you've moved, and so you're originally from the Sunshine Coast.
Yes, that's where I grew up.
Yeah, and now you're in Ipswich.
Yes, now I'm an Ipswich lady.
But you still get around quite a lot. So you, like you said, you go to Byron.
Yeah.
You've been, have you been further south than that for a market as well?
The furthest we've gone is the Channon, which is like 3.5 hours away. But we only reason we travel is because I just really don't like the markets in Ipswich. And I don't even like them in Brisbane either. I've tried them. And as kind of what I was saying before, they just don't seem like markets. They just seem like very businessy. And even the customers don't seem to understand handmade. Like they're always really confused by the prices. And I always know a good market when people come up and they just kind of understand. It's like, oh yeah, this is handmade. Like they either like it, and if they like it and can't afford it, like they still appreciate it. They're not just like, that's rubbish because I can't buy it, you know?
Yeah.
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 So I just try and find the markets that feel good.
That's
So one buy is
a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Good way to do it. Go with your gut.
Yeah.
So, can we talk about what first drew you to clay? Like, talk about how you started making, like, where did you learn? What was the story there?
So I kind of see the story starting with painting. I started painting. I think I took art class in grade 10, and I was so bad. I was always the worst at art in my family, the worst in my school. Like I was just didn't have the skills, but I really liked it, and I never really had that pressure to be good. And I think that's why I've come so far, because I didn't have that it has to be good. I was kind of just like, I suck, but I'm having a good time. And I just kind of kept doing it for fun, like sketching in my journal. But I think what's the specific question? I think I'm
So, where did clay kind of come into the picture? Yeah.
So I was always obsessed with drawing faces. I don't know why, but it was always drawing faces, and they were kind of not really completely human, like always alien or fairy or goblin-y from the start. And when I touched clay, I wasn't intending faces. I thought, I'll just have some fun, make a cup. But everything I did happened to have a face on it, and I just struggled to make anything without a face on it. That's kind of just where I was today. I took a class with a lady, Fiona, in Doonan of Queensland, and she really cultivated my freedom with clay. She didn't teach restrictions and what you can't do. She taught, I wonder what you can do, you know. So she really inspired me making really strange things, you know. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's probably a really good. I'm taking a tip away from that.
Yeah.
Like, not to tell people what they can't do, but to kind of leave it a bit open-ended.
Yeah, especially with clay. Like, as you guys know, the answer's never really a full stop. People are always wiggling in new ingredients or doing substitutes or testing out different things in clay. Like, it's really an open book.
I think with hand building too, you can kind of
Yeah.
get a bit wilder, because there's like, I don't know, that's what I found, because I teach both. There's something about hand building where you can be like, what are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
What could it be?
You know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
like
really
that.
fun. And most of your work is hand built.
All of it. I did 2 wheel throwing classes. I just didn't really like it. I'm open to doing it again in the future. Now that I know I'd put faces on them, but it just didn't really pull me in all those years ago.
Yeah. I mean, you know, whatever works and whatever feels good.
You're like, I don't understand, but okay.
No, I don't judge. But wheels are great. We love wheels.
Do you know what though? I prefer teaching hand building.
Yeah?
It's probably easier to teach.
I just think it's a bit slower, and I feel like people can have more success sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Like wheel, you fight so much of yourself.
It looks easy that it is too. So I remember coming in being like, why can't I just do it? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever taught hand building to other people?
No, like I've done it for friends, just like hanging out, but I don't quite feel like qualified to do so because I did no studies for clay. Like I learnt off an artist, and then from there, like it's been completely like improvisation or talking to other clay people. Like I'm sure that I do a lot of things not by the book that I wouldn't really want to teach people. Yeah.
You're very good at what you do though. Like I feel like your skill level is quite high. So I don't know. I think that's a really interesting topic that do you have to go through formal education?
Yeah. I would be open to teaching like 1 or 2 people one-on-one who knew my work and respected it. But I wouldn't just be like hand building because I think there would be better teachers for that. Probably you guys. Better at the classic hand building. But I think I might be better at like sculptural work, or even like how to create something that comes from your heart or dreams, like a bit more artistry. Maybe.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a functional gal.
Well, you do a lot of functional stuff.
Yeah.
Your functional things just have that sculptural element to them.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I do try and make them also a great cup at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
One thing that surprised me so much when we first started to get to know each other was when you told me that you make all of your own glazes. Like the only glaze you'll buy is some brush on clear glaze.
Clear glaze, yeah.
And you've always done that.
Mm.
And I think in the pottery world for beginners that doesn't really happen. Making glaze is kind of something that you learn and visit later on. So like, where did that glaze confidence come from? And like, tell us about that and just jumping in and not being scared.
Yeah. Well, my teacher, Fiona, I think it's Cutherfield, but I think I might pronounce her name wrong. She always made her own glazes, or at least when I knew her, she made all of her glazes. And she kind of told me like, like that's what artists do. Like I was got the impression that like people don't really buy glazes. Like, so when I kind of met more potters, like I was confused when you were confused.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's kind of an old school view, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, because there wasn't commercial glazes available till recently.
Yeah. And I know that this lady, she was quite frugal with her art too. So I think she was thinking about the affordability. Once you get that first initial purchase, it's more affordable. But yeah, the first purchase is quite a lot. But yeah, it was just quite normal for me, and I would mix her glazes for her and like measure them. So I definitely like learned that way. And then she gave me, or at least she told me about the book John Britt's Mid-Fire Glazes, and still that's most of the glazes that I use, as well as glazy.org.
Yeah, glaze is amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
I have bought a few glazes. I think since meeting artists who were like, "Oh my god, you make them?" Like, I just buy them. So I thought, okay, well, I'll try out buying them if it's so much easier. Because especially at the start, so many glazes didn't work out.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. It was like 1 to 10 glazes would work out. I don't know why, but I'm past that now. But I bought some, and I don't know if it was just bad luck or maybe I fired them wrong, but they all, like I hated them all. So it kind of was like, well, if I'm struggling to hand make glazes and I don't like the bought ones, I might as well just figure out how to make
it's so
them
much
better.
cheaper too. Like commercial glazes, especially the pretty American ones.
I don't know much about them.
You know, the Mako and Amico kind of brands.
They're American.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're so expensive.
Right, because they were the tester things I bought. I think it was Mako, and I was not very impressed.
Yeah. Good on you. It's great to make your own glaze. And I think that's the thing too, like when you start getting down the track, and I can see that with some of your glazes, like, you get your base and then you've tried different additives for colour and...
Yeah, well, I've got like 4 favourite glazes that I seem to always have in my rotation. And if you've seen my pottery, you'd notice that most of my cups are like heaps of different colours all slammed together, kind of like an abstract painting. So it's very rare that I'll use, like, I don't really dip things. I kind of just like slam all these colours on. And that's how, if a glaze works, it mixes together well. If it doesn't work, it doesn't mix.
Yeah, I feel like your work, when I think of your stall, I feel like there's lots of like mossy greens and blues and moss. Beautiful colours like that with just these little kind of sparks of other colour.
Yeah, it's mostly green and blue, a little purple, maybe like. I really want to make a good red glaze though, so that's my next.
That's
challenge.
a challenge. Yeah,
I have heard.
Yes, reds and electric kilns. Just
I feel like there's a potter in America called Dante, and that's his main adventure at the moment, is trying to make red glazes.
Has it not been done? Maybe I shouldn't go.
No, it has, but I think he's just trying to perfect it. So
okay.
I'll send you the link of his glazy.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Because I just have this idea of like the fiery red, but we'll see if I get there.
Yeah. Tricky. You will though.
Thanks.
So I want to talk a little bit about your lifestyle. So your home, when I've been there, it's so like warm and cozy and inviting, and it's very clearly like your safe space. Like it's like clearly a sacred space because you work from home as well. And I just, you have chickens and ducks and you have your own eggs and your partner's really into gardening and seedlings. So, I just want to talk a little bit about your lifestyle and how you work your practice into your lifestyle and how they kind of work together. Yeah.
Well, since having our baby Moss, it's definitely changed heaps. So, like, Every day it feels like a different lifestyle. But I guess our lifestyle is so my business is the full income. So Sam helps with my business and also take care of Moss and the house and everything. So we're very much like a team, and most days we'll kind of just wake up and decide like what the priorities are for that day, depending on the energy. Sometimes it's just like eat food, you know, if it's it's good with Moss, you know, if it's just been a hard day. But most of the time, I guess lifestyle is we'll wake up. Sam usually spends 15 minutes doing all his chicken duties, because he does all the it's great because he looks after all the chickens, and now we have little ducklings as well, and I just get to like look at them and enjoy them and eat the eggs. And always take Hazel for a walk. One of us takes Moss and Hazel for there's a little bushwalk near our house, and then we figure out what else we can do. So if it's a work day, I'll spend like 3 hours getting some work done. So usually doing some sculpting or macrame. It really changes a lot day by day. And then we'll have a little lunch break, see how Moss is doing, hang out with him. And then if everything's all good and well, I might do another 3 hours in the afternoon. But it really, really changes like day by day. Like we don't even have clocks around because it's just like what's needed right now kind of thing. But I guess a little bit of lifestyle as well as we go to bed really early. We go to bed at like 8 o'clock, and then, well, inspired by Moss, we get up at like 5 a.m. So that's our lifestyle of awake hours.
Yeah. I feel like you both have this really strong value in taking your time with things, and also living within your means. Like you buy lots of things secondhand.
Yeah.
And that, I guess, helps sustain that living on one creative income as well. But you also own your own home. Yeah. And you've done that with your creative income as well.
But that's also budgeting in our eyes.
Yeah.
we definitely don't have an high income. It's like very low income, but we don't buy much at all. And like our values and our joy for life comes in like just hanging out together, like going for a little walk. We love op shopping. That's definitely a hobby. And yeah, like our extravagant thing is probably going out for a coffee. Like we're very much budgeting, but we really like that. Like we've always kind of enjoyed that, and we both really hate working too. Like I love pottery, and I don't really see that as work as much. But I think that's a big inspiration behind it too. So we're like, Sam's really good at budgeting, so that's another one of his like strengths in our relationship. So we buy everything in bulk. All of our food is bulk. I only really shop at op shops. Like occasionally we might need containers, you know. And pottery supplies. Yeah, making their own glazes, a time saver. We bought a kiln because, you know, it is more affordable in the long run. So we're always thinking about that. And yeah, it does come down to how like slow can we go while still moving forward at an enjoyable rate. Because we do really like to be moving forward always, at least a little bit. I think we maybe moved really far forward for a little bit there for like 2 years, because we like bought a house, we got married, we had a kid, and then after all that, we're like, let's just enjoy all this for a little bit and just like take it even slower. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like you never complain, and even when you do say that you feel a little bit stressed, it never comes across in your energy or the way you act.
I feel like I do complain, but that's nice to hear that.
You don't. And I've always thought how amazing it is that you all live this beautiful lifestyle, and there's no lack. Like,
I think we do take a lot of responsibility in that it's all choices, and we really believe that like you do create your own life by the choices you make. So if I'm struggling with something, then I know that I do believe I have the power to change it. It maybe not immediately, but I think that that might be why I do complain. Maybe you haven't heard, but sometimes I do, especially about the weather. I feel like I'm always like, it's so hot today on the repeat lately. But
I don't feel like you might feel that, but I've always thought of you as a very joyful,
thank you, that's nice,
you know, cup half full kind of person. Yeah, for sure.
Thanks. Totally.
But yeah, I think that probably would be why. Because if I'm not happy with the cup of tea I'm drinking, then I can get a new cup of tea.
A good analogy. Yeah. So can you tell us a bit about all the changes that have happened for you in the last year? Birthing your beautiful son, Moss, and how that's changed your practice and how you've had to adjust things. And I mean, you've already touched a little bit on it. But what was it like before and what's it like comparatively now?
Yeah, so different before. I didn't think, like, obviously you hear that having a baby changes your life. Obviously you just can't know how until it happens, but yeah, when you think about it, so much has changed when I think about it. Before, well, Sam had a job as well and I had my job, and they were very separate. We had separate finances, and I would work, like, I don't think I realized it at the time, but like 6 days a week. Like, I didn't think I was working a lot, but it's just because that's what I wanted to be doing every day. Like, there's not really much else. Like, I liked to go to the waterfalls or something on that one little day, you know, or like go to a new town or something. But yeah, I really liked just like all day creating art, like watching movies while creating art, listening to podcasts, all that. Yeah, so before that was kind of our thing. And then when I was pregnant, as soon as I wasn't meant to lift heavy things, we realized that Sam's going to have to, it was either he works or I work. And I was like, I think I need to make art. Like, I think I don't want to stop doing that. So it was me working. And he had to stop his job so he could help me carry things and help me with markets and all those things. And obviously when Moss was born, we knew that was going to come as well eventually. So then when I was pregnant, I was very tired. So like my ability to do things was like by a third. So that was like a new challenge. Like I just didn't, I've always been really full of energy, never really understood what it was like to not have much energy. And then when getting pregnant, like just so tired, I couldn't like imagine. So my work was like very limited. Like I'd probably like a mug or two a day kind of thing. And then just lay down. And then after having Moss, lots more energy. You know, for a while we just cared for him and we're in that bubble for a while. And then when he got a bit older, I started to work here and there when I wanted to make art, and it was just like a very gradual shift back into me making things and selling them. But I very soon after having Moss like wanted to, like, I think he was only 3 months where I was like, oh, I want to go to a market. I miss them. Like, so I brought him along to a witch market. Because I like, especially now that because there was definitely a time at the start where I was embarrassed of my work. I was like, this isn't good, but here I am, you know, trying to sell it. But now I feel quite proud of it. And then when people come and they say like, oh, I love it, you know, I'd like to buy it and I will use it at home. Like, I just really love that. So I do love going to markets. Now that he's older, it changes. That was it. Yeah. So I think the biggest change would be both of us are so much more tired. So there's definitely less time and energy to do things. But when I do things, I do feel a lot more intentional of what I'm making, which I kind of assumed that might happen with making less. Like, instead of like, oh, I really want to make 10 mugs today, sometimes I was a bit focused on the amount. Now it's like, I don't know how much time I have, but I'm really going to try and enjoy it because this is like my nice, peaceful sculpting time. And like feeling that freedom of like, I can make whatever I want. What do I want to make right now has definitely come in a lot more. I think also since having a baby, like a lot changed for me personally. So many value shifts and like new understandings of life and things like that came in. So my intention with making has changed as well.
Yeah. It's fantastic that you can hold like this beautiful freedom around creating while still having been the main income provider. Like, that's beautiful, Isis. And I think people feel that in your work, that it is a work of passion.
I can see when it's not there. And sometimes I'll get in a phase where like maybe we are money stressed and I'll just like I gotta make things, and oh my god, they're not good mugs. Like people can see that too. Yeah, I do.
I know. I think we can all do a bit of that.
Yeah,
the push around Christmas. And,
Christmas. Yeah,
because you're like, this has to get us through the next few months because they're really light on for markets.
Yeah. But it is good. But I think it's also something I always remember that like I don't have to be doing this. Like if I'm not enjoying it, and if it doesn't like fill up my cup, then we'll figure something else out. Like it's so. I think having that freedom of when I lost the desperation of this has to work, it got a lot more creative. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
Big lesson there.
You were talking about when you were pregnant being really, really tired and not being able to do much. But there is something amazing that you did do while you were pregnant was you prepared for Woodford markets.
Oh my god, it seems so crazy
for Woodford Folk Festival.
Now. Like, oh my god, I think I was 7 months pregnant when we actually did it. My ankles were the size of like my thighs, like swollen. I had this big goal, and it was because like we wanted to spend time not working after Moss was born, so it was this big like preparation for him in a way.
So for context for people listening, how long do Woodford Folk Festival markets go for?
I think it's 6 days.
6 days in a row.
Yeah, but you have to be there like 2 days before, 2 days after, camping by the site, and it was so hot as well.
Yeah.
And there's something like 300,000 people come through or something. Like the numbers of the folk festival are nuts. Like just the dust and the
dust every day, worse than Toowoomba.
Oh, way worse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was really fun, and I want to do it again. Like, it was a really great achievement for both me and Sam, like working together, getting everything made, like figuring out display. It was a really good achievement, and by the end of it, because it was like quite a physical workout, like for us both, like me being pregnant, I guess, but like Sam was also doing like a lot of heavy lifting every day, and like you had to walk to your site every day. It was a big effort. But the end of it, we really pushed ourselves, exerted all the energy, but we felt really proud that we did it, because before that we'd never really we did a special hike that meant a lot to us. But the fact that we did this big thing that we'd planned for, it was like an 8-month plan. We finished it. We got like our goal of what we wanted to get, and it really prepared us for having a kid, I think, as well. Because like, okay, that was a hard thing. We weren't sure if we could do it. We did it, and we just felt like, okay, we can do other things that we don't know if we can do.
Oh, lovely.
So good, yeah.
What did preparing look like? Like, numbers-wise, like how many items for a 6-day long market? How do you even begin to plan to get ready for something like that?
Well, I heard someone once say that for a market, they like the stall fee to be only 10% at least of the cost. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but if a market was $100, you'd want to be making $1,000. And to me, that felt really right, and that math helped me with it. So I think it was like $250 a day of costs, but then obviously there's all the costs of setting up and labor and lots of other things. So I did some math, and to me, what felt right was a minimum profit of $10,000 for the whole thing, and then a maximum of $20,000 would be great. So like, I wanted to prepare for going really well, because why not? So I had this preparation. I worked out. I had a $1,000 day at a market one day, and I worked out on paper the percentages of what sold. Like I always write down what sells, but I worked out like how much of it was pottery, how much of it was necklaces, how much of it was whatever else I sold. And obviously every market's completely different, but I did feel like that was a pretty average day of things. I think it was like 40% macrame, 60% pottery, and I wrote down like if they were mugs, if they were saucers, if they were spoons or whatever. And then I times that by 10, because 10,000, and I made that much. Oh no, 20,000. I don't think I got to 20,000, but that was my goal. And I wrote down like, I think it was like 200 spoons or something like that. And Rora was there a lot for my spoon making. She helped Blaze heaps.
You made so many spoons.
So many. And that was the last thing I made too, like just before I left, were all the spoons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just had these numbers for each thing, and I worked out, I divided the days I had left, and like what needed to be made per day. Like say if it was, I can't remember, maybe it was 200 mugs, and I worked out if I had 20 days and divided it all. So it was very mathematical.
Yeah.
There were no babies to look after, so there was lots of time.
Yeah.
And spent a lot of long hours just getting it made. And I find it amazing to look back on my work before Woodford and after Woodford, because I made so many things. And I really feel like I learned a lot. Like my pots, I think, got a lot better during that time of just mass producing for a small amount of time. Yeah.
Did you have your own kiln then?
No, I was at first using a public kiln, and then they kicked me out.
Yeah.
Because I think it was because I spilled glaze on their shelves. I can't even remember why now. They really didn't like me anyway, though, because they were.
So this was a pottery club.
This is a pottery club.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They all made they were all retirees doing pottery, and they were making one pot a week, and it was very simple things. And then I came in with my 50 mugs a week, and they didn't want me there, and they were like, why is there a face on it? One time it was crying, and they were like, oh, they just really hated my stuff.
Yeah.
Which I didn't.
That's
mind.
not a good feeling.
Yeah, I definitely didn't feel welcomed there, so I just didn't know where else to go.
Yeah.
And then I spilt glaze on their shelves one too many times. And they kicked me out. I was like, oh my God, what do I do? Woodford's in 3 months. And Rora, the loveliest lady that she is, says, you can use my kiln whenever you want. Come over. So she put all my pots in. She took them all out.
We got to hang out a lot too.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's when we really bonded.
Yeah.
That was so fun. I look back on that a lot too, because we just talked all day long. And
that was fun. Yeah.
sometimes I just make pottery at your studio, so I didn't have to travel with it too.
Yeah.
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 So it was really, really fun.
Good time.
That's so good. And
Yeah.
I mean, how nice is that sharing of resources, but also that's a lot. It's just making all that work and then just not being able to go to your back shed and fire to
travel.
The transport was crazy.
The
and
logistics.
it took so much time to it was awful.
Oh my
But that's all I knew the whole time. I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
The kilns I went to were always at least half an hour away. That one was an hour away before I saw Rora. But it was just what it was. There was no other thing to do. And it was still, in my eyes, much better than working anywhere else. So,
Yeah. As I said, you really have that cup half full attitude, which I think just means you can achieve such amazing things.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm oh, woe is me. I'm so busy and tired. And Isis is like, oh yeah, I'm really tired. Moss isn't sleeping well, but all this great other stuff. It's always good to be around you because you offer that really optimistic perspective on life. Yeah.
I try to also be real with the hard stuff too, though. Do you think I'm real enough with the hard stuff?
Yeah, you're real.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I don't want to just be love and light.
Toxic positivity.
Yeah,
You're not toxic positivity at all.
No.
I feel a great example is at the end of the market when we all do the check-in. How'd you go? Sometimes you're like, oh, it wasn't great, but hey, you win some or you lose some.
Yeah.
You're not like, it was fantastic every
Oh,
time.
yeah.
And that's what I think the difference is you seem someone who's very real.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I also I don't know about you guys, but a lot of people really struggle at markets to make, even just a tiny amount. So I never think it's very polite to go around going, I had the best day ever.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really rude because some people are got their art out there and they're having a hard time.
Yeah, I think though, it's good to share, oh yeah, it was a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine.
I made thousands.
That's what I mean. Some people so do that.
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think I'm attuned to it because I judge it. I'm like, oh, there it is.
But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And I think, I'm not sure how you guys feel, but I feel like we have a little bit of a magical advantage because ceramics is popular.
Yes.
And I don't know, I feel like sometimes, you'll be next to someone and they don't sell anything and you've sold quite a few mugs and you're like, oh. And I'm always like, look, ceramics is on trend.
I don't know if it is everywhere. I seriously think it's a big hit in Toowoomba.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we have that many potters in Toowoomba.
Even artists, even. Yeah. It is a art you can use. But yeah, I really find Toowoomba loves pottery.
Yeah,
it's good to know.
Yeah, I think Toowoomba people do really appreciate the arts.
But
it's like you said, when there's function attached to something, they can justify the purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to make paintings, and I think that's Like, while I found it easier to make sculptures, so that was a big reason to do sculpting, it also sold a lot easier because, you know, like, even I wouldn't really buy a painting, but I would consider buying a mug.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think something shifted in our society, particularly post-COVID, where we spent more time at home, and so the things that we had in our house became a bit more precious.
Yeah.
And so having that mug, like this beautiful mug I'm using right now of Aurora's, becomes part of your daily ritual. It connects you, like when you know the maker, it connects you to them.
Yeah, I always think of Rora when I drink my Rora cup.
Me too. And it's just something about that I think is really deeply nourishing in this time where everything's a bit topsy-turvy and we're so in the kind of screen world. To come back and have a nice beverage in your handmade mug is something really grounding, I think.
It's hard to feel like the cup's half empty.
Yes.
That handmade mug.
And I don't know about you, like when you collect different mugs from different people, there becomes this hierarchy of mugs in your house.
Oh yeah.
So Corey knows that he's really well loved when I make him a coffee in a Jane or an Isis mug.
Aww.
He'll be like, "Oh, you gave
What's
me
the not
Jane's
loved
cup
mug?
today." Huh?
What's the not loved mug?
One of mine.
Oh,
No. I just mean, like, I don't know. He's always surprised when I give him a mug made by someone else.
We have favorite
Because he knows
mugs
how
in
much
our
I treasure
house.
them. Yeah.
So cute.
Yeah.
We have favorite mugs in our house, and I definitely find myself, often giving myself my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. So let's talk a bit about your artistic style. So your pottery is like, it's otherworldly and it's holds a bit of magic because, like you said before, the creatures you sculpt on, like with the faces, they're all like fantastical. So what inspires your artistic style, and do you feel a spiritual or energetic connection to your work?
My inspiration changes every year, I find. I definitely find a spiritual connection, but that specific connection changes as well. When I first made the faces, I thought that they were alien faces. I was like, oh, I'm like channeling alien faces. And then a few years went by and I felt like my mugs were a symbol for being odd in a crowd of normality, like imagining people who had this quirky, not human-y face mug. I imagine them drinking at home, feeling like they aren't as strange as they may think they are because everyone's a little strange. Like, there was some sort of strange, odd thing going on. And now as a new one as well, I'm sure there's probably been some sub things within that. But now to me, I like the idea of them just bringing people a little bit of joy within each day. And I think like one of my favorite customers, she says that she always goes like, oh, like they just make me so happy when I use them. Like whenever I see them, I just like smile, and I think now my motivation is just how can I make someone like, do a little giggle or just smile or just bringing a little bit more joy to maybe even like if you're having hard days, like having something that you just go, oh, look at that, oh, that's cute, like it just takes you out of it. Because I find that a lot. I find people really like my mugs seem to know pain well as well. As many artists, I guess, but
you can kind of like when I'm at my stall and people are looking for something, and I can kind of get the vibe whether I should send them to you. I'm kind of like, I reckon you'll like Isis as well.
I very often can like pick who's coming. Like, I won't go to the bathroom. Yeah, they look like that kind of person. But sometimes they surprise me for sure.
Yeah. But I just love that your stuff's so unique, and it's not going to be everyone's favorite. That's what I love about it, is that you're not trying to please the like minimalist home decor kind of, you know, like you're really making something that is from the heart.
Yeah, I really want it to be something you won't find anywhere else, and something that makes you feel special because you have it.
Yeah, I mean, I get that from the beautiful. I mean, I've got a spoon list of yours.
I love that spoon
But, oh man, that little, like, how that glaze did that lichen, like, I look at it every day and it takes me to nature, which I think is the thing that your work really, that's what I love about it. It's just, it takes you back to that place, and you work with the materials in a way that really celebrates them too. Like, I feel like your glazes are so fluid that you can almost feel the melting.
Yeah, I
you
do a lot of
know?
splashing.
Yeah, and the clay's so kind of tactile, and I think, you really celebrate the materials.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, even in a spoon rest.
Even in a spoon rest. Well, the spoon rest is a beautiful little kind of canvas, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
To like a flat
Yeah.
little kind of picture.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I, like I said, connection to nature as well, because when I was younger, I would always see eyes and faces in the trees, like very commonly, and I don't really see it as much now. I think maybe because I'm seeing them in the mugs, but there was a long time where like I'd really see like, oh, look at that face there. Yeah.
You talked a little bit about it before, but because you have like such a strong, unique style, do you ever struggle with people like making negative comments on your work?
Especially at the start.
Yeah.
At the start, like it was really hard to keep going. And honestly, without like my partner at the time's compliments, I don't think I would have. He was really like complimentative, whatever that word is.
Yeah.
But yeah, people were really rude. Like some people would just look at it and like frown, especially this was in Yamundi. People would say like, oh, that looks like my like old uncle, or like, oh, she makes these ugly faces. Like, you know, they went on. Like some people would just be like, who would buy that? Like just right to my face.
Bad. And
Yeah.
it's weird because Yamundi used to be.
I know.
Have that, like, I feel like your stuff is so Yamundi in my mind, you know, but not
It
anymore.
didn't go there.
No,
Yeah.
it's very touristy.
Yeah.
Hey?
I get like one person who come by like every two markets and be like, oh, this is what I expected to see here.
Yeah.
And like, but it was so rare. So it was really, really hard at the start, but I think as time's gone on, and I have gotten a bit better, especially like at making the faces less creepy and like, you know, the cups more symmetrical and the glazes better. I think I really rarely get judgment now, and if I do get judgment, I really just like doesn't cross me at all. I think usually the people that judge it seem to be very not open-minded, and also the amount of people that find joy and smile at it is just so much higher of the percentage now than it used to be. So now, yeah, I don't ever leave a market feeling like how I used to.
Yeah.
Which is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
that is
think
good.
something I've noticed doing markets is that you start getting your followers and your regulars.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah,
even
and
if
your
they-
market friends too.
Yeah,
pump you up, like,
totally. And even if you don't sell much, you still have beautiful comments
Yeah,
from those good people.
they make the days.
It does. Hey, I always say that to people. Like, I think admiring my work and saying something nice is actually, I mean, obviously not as good as purchasing, but it is.
Yeah.
Like, I think in that it makes you feel like, oh, I'm doing something okay.
Yeah.
And
I should turn
Yeah.
up tomorrow.
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's always, like you said, those people that pump you up, and that I don't know about you guys, but there's some of those people that if they know you're there, they'll just come and say hi.
Oh,
Yeah.
You get so many of them.
Yeah. Laura's like
Yeah.
the hub of the
Yeah, you
market,
are like
I
a
think,
social
the heart.
butterfly.
Yeah,
I'm a good yapper.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're also in that great spot near the food.
Yeah. People
What is
like order food and then come over and say
Yeah,
hi
that's
while
me.
they're waiting for their food. Yeah, good spot.
Yeah.
So for aspiring creatives, can you share some advice, some tips? Because you live this beautiful, successful life and you're amazing and all of that stuff.
But success is a viewpoint.
Well, this is true.
Because some people would say it is and some people would say it is.
Yeah, that's
Potter people like you. Like, yeah, pottery every day. Like,
Yeah,
that's
true.
the goal.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
seem to be living a wholehearted life, Isis, and to me that's successful. Like
To
I
me
think,
as well. Yes.
Yeah,
But not
I
to
think
them.
you seem happy. You seem on a good path.
That's
So,
the goal.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
striving point, you know?
So, like, what do you wish you knew when you started?
Oh, so much. I've learned so many lessons through doing it. One thing I always like to say, because I really do have a love in my heart for like young artists who may not have been encouraged to explore their creativity. I think about them a lot, and what I would say. I guess I was like that at a young point.
Yeah.
So maybe it's younger me, but I think like the number one thing is to not take. It sounds cliche, but to not take yourself seriously and be really comfortable with sucking. But I reckon that's why I've said that to a few people. I think like if you can be really comfortable with being awful at anything and just doing it because you want to be doing it. You don't even have to be feeling happy when you're doing it. Like sometimes I'll make art, when I was younger especially, I was so sad. And it was a real portal for that sadness. But emotions aside, I know it felt right to do. So I'd say just do it anyway, even if you can't bear to look at it. Always burn it. If you don't, like, there's always the option to do a drawing or whatever and burn it, or make a clay sculpture and put it in the river and never show anyone. I would suggest keeping it private for, if you're really shy, keeping it private and don't show people until you feel ready. Because at least for me, art can be like such a sensitive part of your heart. And I think if you show the wrong person, they can hurt you.
Yeah, it is deeply personal.
Yeah.
Like for each and every creative. That's good advice.
So comfortable with getting it wrong. And just keep going. If it feels good, keep going. If it doesn't, stop and find your other thing. Because maybe you're not into art, maybe you're into something else. But you just got to keep trying to find the thing that works for you.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, and the metaphor, one more.
Yeah, share away.
And the metaphor, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday. I always imagine myself like, in 10 years' time, if I did this today, what would that give me? Like, I used to think a lot when I started face mugs. If I keep this up for 2 more years, I wonder what they'd look like then. And if I kept this up 4 more years, what would they look like then? And they really do keep getting better and better. And as everything does when you just put time into it.
Yeah, great. So what do you imagine for your next year of making? Like, do you have some goals?
I do have some little goals. But I have less big plans on life than I used to. I think, like, with Moss around, we don't know what is to come. We don't know, like, what it's like to raise a toddler or anything like that. So we really are taking it day by day at the moment, and that's what's needed. But I have some really small goals. I really want to make a mug with a beard, like a man mug. A big, like, so good. I love beards too. I just really love them. Like when they're sculpted or fancy.
Yeah. Wow. Like a big curly mustache.
I love them so much. Not too much curl.
Okay.
Like if it looks like he cares if he's eating a sandwich, then I'm like, Anyway.
I love that.
A bit of a beard. I'm going to make, beard mugs like a tree man beard,
Oh, Green Man. Yeah.
Yeah, I also love
Green Man. Yeah.
And I want to make a dragon mug. And
that'll go well, I reckon. Dragons are so hot right now.
Oh,
yeah, they are.
D&D is so hot right now. Yeah, you'll get a whole new like market of people if you start doing dragons.
Like, how cool are dragons? Like, you can really take them anywhere.
Yeah, so much
That's
love
great.
about dragons. My book right now is about dragons. But I make mushroom mugs that have like the red, red mushroom with white dots.
Fly agaric.
Yeah, I should know that, but I don't.
No, I'm a bit of those who know me know I'm a bit of a ID the nature kind of person.
Nerd.
Yes, a nerd.
Nature
Plant
nerd.
Did you say flower agaric?
Fly agaric.
Fly agaric.
And they're quite poisonous, and they're introduced. They're not a native to Australia.
Oh, thank you.
I've never seen one in person, but I really want to one day.
Yeah.
Even though they're bad.
In a pine forest in Tasmania, I saw them.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I really want to make other mushrooms.
Oh, yeah. Can you make pink oyster mushrooms? Because they're our local oyster mushroom.
Yeah.
And you could our wonderful looker after of the Toowoomba Farmers Market is a mushroom farmer.
Robin?
Yeah, Robin's partner's a mushroom.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so they know so much about mushrooms. We've learned heaps, yeah.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
But yeah, I'd love to see those oyster mushrooms.
Yeah, that would sound like a porcelain job, doesn't it?
No, I don't know.
No? I'll think about it. I imagine those ones that are orange with the holes in it.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to tell me the name?
I don't know.
Do you mean with the little net?
Yes, the net.
Oh, the net.
They smell really bad.
I've seen one in our garden.
Stinkhorn.
Yeah.
We've had those here.
Yeah.
Under the grapefruit tree.
We get them all the time. It's horrible.
We had one in Toowoomba that was a net that went like a soccer ball.
Yeah, we saw them in
It was amazing.
Toowoomba.
Yeah, so cool.
Wow.
But you know why they stink?
Because they attract.
We're going off Tropic of Clay.
No, I love this. I like mushrooms. Because isn't it to do with like the insects are attracted, like the flies to the rotten meat smell,
Yeah,
and then they
like rotten meat.
they move the spores around.
That's it.
Yeah.
Of course you know. I didn't
No, I love it.
I should have asked Rora when she was alone.
Sorry, Isis. I'm like, I know, pick me. I love that.
Yeah.
Mushrooms, awesome.
Yeah, just like a few little ideas. I like the idea of doing Woodford as well again. Because
this year?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if it'll happen. I'm not sure. But I saw there's a woman I know who did it with her toddler while her partner had a market stall. And oh my God, the toddler just looked like he was having the best time. He was just running the whole time. And, you know, there are those people that dress up like elders and like all sorts of fairies and things. And the little kid was just in awe of it all. And I just thought like, sure, it'd be good for business, but I'd love to see that. Like, I'd love to see him running around like that.
Yeah. Some like core memories for Moss.
Yeah. And I remember when we were there, because I was pregnant at the time, thinking like, this is a beautiful place for a family. Like, this is a beautiful place to take children.
It's really beautiful and safe feeling.
It is,
and
it's so
like
safe
the
feeling.
children's festival is just beautiful.
Yeah. And just all the little bits of imagination everywhere. Like, I just imagine if I was a kid, like, I'd want to be there. And I'm trying to convince Rora to join the stall with me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah.
Well, that's a conversation we had.
We need to keep having that.
Yeah. Okay, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We could even do a 3.
No.
And Jane's
I'm
like,
sorry,
nah.
I love you guys,
Yeah.
but
You cringe when I talk about the numbers and what I made.
yeah,
Like,
so
oh.
I just a little bit of background. I volunteered at Woodford. I have been to Woodford many, many times, but I volunteered as a butterfly. And I was selling trees. You guys are cracking up.
Yeah, I volunteered as an ant.
So I was a butterfly. I had to dress up and I had to talk to people about ecology, which, you know, you guys know I love, but it is way too many people for me. I've just hit a time in my life where I'm like, I mean, I think in a stall might be different because you've got the protection.
There's a lot of people come in.
But it's a lot of people and it's hot, and I'm also at a time in my life where heat is interesting. So yeah, like I don't think it's for me. Maybe I'll come up and visit you guys for a day.
Yes.
I'd love to go for
You
a day.
could work for us while we go out and listen to music.
Yeah.
Okay,
Would you come dressed as a butterfly?
No.
Or an ant?
No, maybe. Depends. If I was telling people about the dangers of fire ants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dressed as an ant, like handing out pamphlets.
Yeah. Fire ants are serious. Anyway, we don't really need to get into that on our ceramics podcast.
I'm curious, but I'll save it.
But
for
can
later.
I say, if you live in southeast Queensland, please educate yourself about fire ants.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yes.
I don't know enough about them.
After this
After
chat,
this,
I'll
yeah.
tell you everything,
I
guys.
see the seriousness. All right.
You can cut this out, Rora.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
My favorite clay.
Yes. What's your favorite clay to use and why?
I only use mid-fire clay, and my favorite type of mid-fire clay is Keen's number 33 warm. The non-warm is a slightly different texture. I really like that clay because I find every clay that I use kind of brings out different faces. And I find that this clay is soft enough to create lots of detail, but got enough grit so that it doesn't flop.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which is perfect for the sculpturing, hand-building artist, I think. For me, anyway. Yeah.
Have you tried any clays and you were just like, no, I'm not ever
Yeah,
again?
porcelain, like that was, everything just cracked, it all flopped. I hated what came out. I also really hate dark matter. I was introduced to that when I first started pottery, so it felt familiar, so I used it for a long time. And then when I was like brave enough to try a new clay, I was like, oh, this sucks. Like, my God, it's grainy. It's like the faces look like they're stone, which sometimes is cool, but not all the time. And you really can't get much detail, at least for faces for me. Like, if I do lines under the eyes to show aging, you can't really see them because of all the little stones.
Too groggy.
It's too groggy.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
simple
yeah,
way of
yeah.
saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, interesting. Yeah, I can give you a bucket of warm reclaim if you want.
Yeah, I've never used
Yeah.
reclaim, so
Yeah.
because The wheel.
Oh, because you're a hand builder.
She doesn't know the hand builder.
Yeah, I was like, what? But yeah, you just
Yeah.
wedge it up, spray it
Yeah.
and wedge it up. Hey.
I have I don't actually even wedge it. I actually want to talk to Rora about this. I never wedge clay. I just rip it and start using it.
Oh yeah, I think with
Yeah,
hand
you
building,
don't
you're
even
fine.
slice it. You just rip
I
it.
know, literally
right
rip it. Yeah.
Like an
I love
animal.
it.
People have bought me wires because they're like, "What are you doing?" It doesn't feel right, you know.
You
Well-
do you. Look, you're making work.
Yeah.
It's getting through the kiln.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
eventually
Stick
selling.
with what works.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think I remember when you were making here, just watching you like reach into the bag and like dig your hands and claw out of like
It's
a
claw
mouth.
too. It really is like a claw. Yeah.
There really is no wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
But there are hard ways and there are easy ways.
It works for me.
Yeah.
I've tried the wire and I don't like it.
Fair enough.
It's
Fair enough.
too violent.
It feels a bit like a
It feels
weapon.
like I'm cutting off someone's head or something.
Oh, true.
And-
Because you are
Oh,
making
'cause of
heads.
faces
Oh,
and
I don't know. Maybe that's related.
Maybe
It's not a
it's
head
not.
yet, you know. It's just a block. But, yeah, just don't like. I don't like many tools. I mostly just use my hands. And I have one little wooden tool that I use as well. But I mainly just use my hands the whole time.
Yeah.
And a little mug of water.
Awesome.
Sounds so nice compared to throwing.
Yeah.
So I've been talking to a few makers lately, and myself and Jane included. I feel like there's this collective like want to slow down, and maybe a few people rethinking priorities and just wanting to rush less and enjoy more at a slower pace. So, do you have advice for that? If someone's listening and they're like, "Oh, I want to live like Isis," what's a good place to start? Like,
I don't know if this is the way everyone goes, but I think for me and Sam, because we are really like partners. We do life together in that way. We've thought about death a lot, you know. Like I'm really thinking about it as deep as you can. Like just the idea of just not existing anymore. The idea, you know, wherever you want to take it. But I think like when we really think about that and talk about that a lot, and you think about like if you had a day left, if you had a year left, you know, how would you spend it? And I think a lot of days we try and act like that. Like if we were to die tomorrow, what would we want to do today? We'd certainly not want to work our butts off while our beautiful little baby is just hanging out playing by himself. Like it's kind of like he inspires me a lot in that way to really think about spending each moment as precious as you can. Like, so a lot of the time, like I can get very much into that like busy mindset. Like that's kind of more my default. It's getting better and better. But I can get like more like, oh, we have to do this, we have to do that. Like the washing needs to be done, you know, like all those things that like, I think it's really good to question your thoughts of like, does it need to be done? Like, does it really need to be? And if you've got no clothes left, do you need to be wearing clothes? you probably do. But, like I think, yeah, questioning the I need tos is probably a really good one. And thinking about the bare minimum of what needs to be done. We talk about that a lot as well, of like, what is the bare minimum we need to do this month? So in our month, I was explaining to you both, we're taking this month pretty much off work a lot. Like we're not working very much. We're doing some home renovations. I'm doing a little bit of art because like my brain needs that. But yeah, we figure out like the bare minimum, like what is the mortgage? What is the food? You know, a few coffee dates. We don't actually write it down because we just, again, find that a waste of time. I'd rather spend that time going for a walk. So I do think a lot about breaking up time. Yeah, time is a bit of an obsession of mine. Definitely. I'm always thinking about time. And I think that's why I am late, because I don't want to be 10 minutes early and I've wasted that time. Then I know that that's selfish on the other person. I've heard that. But yeah, I just think taking time really seriously
and also not seriously at all.
If you take time really seriously, you'll take it unseriously.
Okay.
Because you got it. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, you guys did a face there.
I'm like, because I find like for myself,
Yeah.
like I love arriving early. But this is probably because I'm a bit of an anxious kind of person too, is that I love arriving early and just having that space before things. So
Before
it's
things
probably
start.
really similar. Like, we're probably both getting the same thing, but I just love that feeling of, like, I can just sit in the car for 10 minutes.
I hate that feeling.
And zone
that
out.
feeling stresses me out. I've got 10
Oh, how
minutes to just
interesting.
sit here. I guess I'll look at photos of, like, moss maybe, but, like, that's how that time is spent. Yeah, I hate that time of, like, maybe I need to work on it, but, like, that time of, like, I really don't like wasting time. So, like, that time to me in my mind would be wasted.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
I try and, like, every hour of the day. It can get a little bit obsessive, like, has to try and be, like,
Do you have any time in the day where you just don't do anything?
oh, yeah, but,
Yeah.
like, that's because
But
I
it's
want to be
scheduled.
doing nothing. Yeah, it's a little bit of scheduling for sure,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
mentally. Like, you know, like, the first half of the day is usually unscheduled, like, just having brekkie on for all kind of thing. And then the end of the day is the same. Yeah. And we try and have at least one day a week too. But honestly, since having Moss, it's really hard to just do nothing.
I shouldn't ask you.
Yeah.
I love that, should I?
Doing nothing looks different than it used to.
Yeah.
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 Lying down watching Moss play.
No, lying down is a luxury.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah.
often received.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if people want to find your stuff, they can look to
My Instagram is eyes of Isis underscores in between each word. So EYES underscore OF_ISIS_.
We will put a link in the
Yeah,
show
you
notes.
can cut
Yeah.
that out then.
Yeah, no, all good. I love it.
and also Etsy.
No, I've actually cancelled that. Like, yeah, I just I don't love posting things, and I think I'm a little bit dyslexic, so it's often that I get the address wrong. Like, I check it 3 times, and it's still sometimes a number or 2 is wrong. So I get Sam to post things a lot of the time, but I just really prefer just showing up to the market with what I've got. People see it, they hold it, they know exactly what size it is, and they take it home.
Yeah.
It seems a lot less anxious to me than, they're looking at the photos, like, are the colours right? Is the size what I imagine it to be? Is it going to arrive safely? Like, I still do post things, but often I post things to people who have seen my stuff in real life from markets.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, if someone hasn't seen my stuff before, I do find that a little bit, like, I guess less connecting too.
Yeah.
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 I always, like, wonder, like, I hope that they know what they're getting.
Yeah.
And they like what they get. It just, there's no question about that in the market, because they pick it up, they want it, they get it. It's just really simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, there's not that instant feedback either.
Yeah.
Like, when,
Did they even get it? Like,
yeah. What was their experience when
What
they
was
opened
the face
it?
when they picked it up? Yeah, that's a
Mhm.
big one too.
Mm-hmm.
You do story sales sometimes.
I do,
so,
yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I feel like most people who purchase, I know them. They're usually people from markets or people that I've met at a market. Or even like an Instagram friend, you know. That
Yeah.
You've seen their handle up a few times. Like, hey, it's them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I've been so excited to come on.
Yay.
Thanks, Ice. It's been so nice getting to know you a bit more.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing about your life. It's
You're welcome.
really inspiring.
Thanks for listening,
you.
everyone. If you made it to the end, woo!
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, everyone. As usual, you can find out more about us through our social media. Our links are at the end of the show notes. And just letting you know, our Patreon will be up soon and you'll be able to support us through that. Thanks.